Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be explaining how I draw my poses and how I draw gesture drawings. All of the images that I'll be using for this video, they are from Senchi Stock. They're really great if you want to look for references for your drawings. The first thing that I wanted to do is to break down what is the difference between male and female. The difference between male and female are just male, they have longer torso, and female, they have shorter torso, but everything else is the same. They have torso, hip, legs, and arms, right? This is what I like to do first. I like to break down the human body into simple shapes. You've probably seen this everywhere. A lot of people use this, but yeah, it's way easier and less frightening when you're learning to break down everything into simple shapes. So when I try to draw poses, I always try to capture first the gesture and then where is the line of action. The gesture is literally if you're drawing something from a picture, you don't want to go in and do the details, you just want to capture what the action of the pose is. Line of action is the lines of where the action is going, and then the gesture is what is the action. And to do these two things, I like to simplify them more into shapes. So we're gonna go ahead and start with this pose. This is a fairly simple pose, and then we're gonna bring out our friend here. If you see this picture, she also have the same base like our friend here. If you simplify her, she is the same as her, right? So that will make our life way easier when drawing a human body. You don't want to get stuck trying to capture all of these little details. It's better if you simplify them, and then the next thing that I'm gonna talk about is try to get the gesture. So we start with this simple pose. The most important thing when you wanted to draw a pose like this is to see where the angle of the shoulder, where the angle of the hip, and then where the angle of the feet. Once you have this, you see, okay, where's the line of action? Oh, okay, she's just standing. She's not doing a really big action pose, right? And then we wanted to capture this whole pose as a gesture, not capturing all the details of the muscle. In the beginning, I said I like to simplify them into shapes. What I meant was, you see this pose? For me, what I see is a big rectangle. And this rectangle is gonna help me contain my drawing and put everything in place. So we're gonna demonstrate that here. I'm gonna draw the same rectangle, well, it's gonna be a bit bigger, the same rectangle as this one. And then I see the lines in the middle, and then where's the shoulder? Oh, the shoulder is here. And then the hip is here. From this, we can bring our friend, this guy here, start with a circle, because her head is just in the middle, right? And then we already have the shoulder line, so we just bring in the first rectangle, the second one's here. So we just bring in the first rectangle here, and then the second one here, because it really helps to kind of see where the leg starts. Go ahead and draw the leg, and then the other arm, while trying to keep everything inside this rectangle. And then once you have everything inside the rectangle, you can lower the opacity, and then you can go back in and start adding more details. Like the first pass, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's just for you to see where things are going, right? I think this leg, I wanted to keep it straight. You can go ahead and start adding your detail. But everything still starts from this basic rectangle. And another thing that's really important, if you see human body, a person's arm, the tip of their hand, if you turn it down, it always ends in the middle of your thigh. Almost everyone is like that. So I like to keep that in mind. And then you can just start continuing with your pose and close. When you draw a pose, try to break the symmetry. It's more interesting compared if you just draw a person just standing. If we draw the same pose, but it's just straight, it's gonna be less interesting compared to if you break the symmetry. And let's try another pose. This one have more action compared to the first one. Let's break it down into shapes. What I see is this big triangle. So once we have the triangle, you see where the shoulder is, the hip is. So first thing I will do the triangle and then break down where the shoulder is and then where the hip line is. And then I start and implement our friend here to this drawing. And the leg, the back leg is just straight like this, and then the front, it bends a little bit. But if you look closely, this leg is more to the back. And then the arm, she's pointing her arm up. And the other one, I see another triangle here. So I just wanted to do the triangle there. And from there, you already have the base, right? After you have the base, you do the same thing as before. Lower the opacity, and you can go in and do a bit more detail just to clarify the pose. I find that this makes it easier to capture any kinds of pose. You should try it too, and then let me know if it helps you or not. But it definitely helped me when I was learning to draw pose. And for sure, you need to practice and do it every day, or at least like once a week it's enough. And the legs, I like to also break it, see it as a different shape. For example, the thigh is a one rectangle and then a triangle for the bottom, right? Like this. And then you just go ahead and add more detail. But everything still begins with this triangle that we drew in the beginning. And we can try with another pose. I have this one. Let's break it down into a big shape again. For this one, what I see as a shape is this kind of shape. See, the shoulder line is here, hip is here. And then we're gonna implement that. One is here, hip line, shoulder line, the head is angled up. You want to draw the circle for the head where the neck is going, and the other arm is pointing out. I just wanted to draw with a line. After you're used to doing this, you can start stylizing your drawing and then push the pose more. So after we have this is the basic shape of the body, and then that's what we're gonna do here. And then the leg, and then the other one. The other one is pointing up. And then after we have our base here, clean it up a little bit. But still following our basic shape. And then put clothes on her. And then we're gonna do another pose. We're gonna do 5 poses today. Now we have this pose. What I see in this pose as a shape is also another rectangle with a little triangle on the side. And then you see the hip line here and shoulder line here. And then we're gonna do the same. Draw the rectangle, hip line, shoulder line, little triangles on this side and the middle. And we can go ahead and start with the head and the arm and the body. And the leg is going in a little bit. And this one, if you see, this leg is pointing towards the middle line. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And then once we have our base, do the same, more opacity, and we clean it up. So remember, always try to capture the gesture first before going in and do the details. Because if you start and do the details first, you're gonna lose the gesture, like the action of the pose. And you don't want that. You want to have a pose that's appealing and have action in it. But it still follows our friend here. The ear should be there. We can give her clothes. We're gonna do the last pose, which is this one. It's a bit different, it's not standing. So what I see in this pose is this big rectangle like this. Okay, so I see this, right? The head should be around there. And the arm is gonna do a line, and the arm stops here. And the other one is here. And the leg. Sometimes when I have poses like this, I just do it as simple as possible. Sometimes even just draw literally a stick man and then go from there. Do whatever feels comfortable with you, but try to just do it as simple as possible. I feel like that's the best way to capture the pose. If you can capture like one pose, which is a stick man, that's way better than you finishing a pose with all shading and everything, but ended up really stiff. So don't worry about details, as you can always build it up. And then we already have our base here. And then gonna lower opacity and then clean it up. So details always come later. get the pose right first and then go in with the details. Sometimes I can be doing one pose for like 5 tries. It's okay because it's not gonna take you that long, because you're just gonna be doing basic shapes and simple lines, even the stick man, just to get that pose. Give her a bun. What I forgot here is that this leg is outside of the rectangle, that's why it looks kind of odd. So yeah, that's how I draw poses for my drawings, and when I practice gesture drawing, that's what I focus the most. I just try to get the base shape of where the pose is and what it's doing, and then just add the limbs with lines or just follow this friend right here. This is the most important thing to remember. Let me know what you wanted to know, and see you in the next video. Bye!